What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Christopher Bean with Tactical Advantage, and today I'm very excited because I have a new gun, and I'd like to walk you through the procedures I have from taking a gun out of the box before I take it to the range. Let's get started.
This is not a paid endorsement, but I am a brand ambassador for Heckler and Koch USA. HK firearms are incredibly reliable, incredibly accurate, great firearms for defensive carry. From the new VP9A1 to the CC9 to the P30 that I have carried every day for the last 8 years, they are incredible firearms for defensive use. You carry a gun just in case. Shouldn't it be an HK just in case?
All right, folks, so we're on the bench, and I have me a brand new HK, and I figured I'd walk you guys through my procedures of getting guns ready to go to the range. And I'm a little particular about this, so some of these things might not apply or be useful to you, but I'll explain why I do what I do, and hopefully it helps. But first things first, we have an HK CC9. Really excited about trying this. This is not going to be a video directly related to the CC9. I'm not going to go over specs and things like that because I want to shoot it first and really kind of get to know it. But this is something I do with all the guns. I am excited about this little bad boy. This thing is going to be interesting. Brand new. Picked it up yesterday. And a couple things. So first, I'll answer a question. I always get asked why I wear gloves when I handle guns. And the simple answer to that is I'm allergic to petroleum distillates. And wildly allergic. I'll break out in hives all over my body. So that's why when I get like new guns and things like that, or something that was handled by somebody else, that I wear gloves until I can get them cleaned and get things off them that'll give me reactions. I'm also a diabetic, so big rashes don't do me any favors because they don't heal very well. So if you got questions, you want to make fun of me, go ahead. I don't care. I'd rather you make fun of me than be itchy. So basically, brand new gun. So what I'm going to do today is basically break it open. Not going to do a detail strip, but just a simple field strip. I'm going to clean it in my ultrasonic cleaner, and I'll explain to you why I do that and what I use for that. And then kind of get them optic mounted and get this thing ready to go to the range. And we're going to really start pushing this gun to see what I can get performance-wise out of it, because I feel pretty confident from what I'm hearing about the shootability of this gun that I could run it like a full size. We'll see. So first things first, what I do when I open up a new gun is I read the owner's manual. I know nobody does it. People think it's goofy to do that, but why not understand what the manufacturer intends? Lubrication point, things like that. Whether you put it into practice or not, at least understand where they're coming from, how the gun operates. I really don't know why people don't read these, but nonetheless, first things first, we're going to break this gun down and field strip it, which with these CC9s are pretty easy. You just lock the slide to the rear, and then the slide comes no trigger pull required. And we'll break it down into its simple components: the guide rod, the barrel, the slide, and the frame. So what I want to show you guys first is when you buy a new gun, it's going to have a significant amount of grease on it. And a lot of people think, well, you know, the manufacturer put all that lubrication on it, all that grease on it. That must be what they want. They must want that level of lubrication on it. And really what you have to think about is the manufacturer, doesn't know how long these guns are going to be on the shelf. And they don't really know, how long they're going to be sitting. So they use like greases or heavier grade lubricants to last longer, to kind of deal with that so the guns don't rust or anything like that while they're waiting to be purchased. So what I've found over time is when they are well lubricated from the factory, what tends to happen is they'll get gummy. If you go right to the range and you start putting high round counts through them, they'll just gum up a little bit and they don't really break in as well as they should. So, there's different manufacturers use different things. Some use like a copper-based lubricant. Some just use a plain grease. All of that stuff's kind of irrelevant. It's really what the manufacturer is into. But I like to get rid of all of that stuff. One, because I'm allergic to it. And two, it's more than is really required for the function and lubrication of the firearm. So why not get rid of it? It's there basically to deal with transit and shelf time. So I don't need any of that. So how I deal with that is I ultrasonic clean them. So I'll just try and move you guys over here. And we'll kind of talk through ultrasonic cleaning really quick. I don't think this is required. I have one because I'm a high volume shooter and I'm also a collector. So I have a lot of firearms. I shoot a lot, significantly more than your average user. And I don't like cleaning guns. And this makes it pretty quick and easy for me. I'm not pitching this unit. Look online, whatever. But this unit is a pretty simple unit. It has temperature control and time control. I think it has 2 oscillators in it. And they work really, really, really well for cleaning, especially if you want to get rid of like grease and petroleum products. The additive I use to my water is a aircraft grade simple green that's aluminum safe. Not that I would suggest putting aluminum in an ultrasonic cleaner. The cavitation can cause microfractures, things like that. So not a big fan of using aluminum, but for steel and predominantly polymer parts, no big deal. I've got this starting to warm up, but I'll go ahead and get our parts in here. Now, again, hopefully you guys can see how much lubrication and kind of grease type stuff is in there, and you can see how clean the water is in the ultrasonic. I changed it before the video, but we're just going to go ahead and get that in there. Luckily, this is a small gun, and I can fit everything in one shot. And we'll just give it a start. So I'll start it so you guys can hear it, but then I'll stop the video so you don't have to wait the 4 minutes of my initial run, and we'll check it when we're done. So let's go. All right, so I ran it for about 8 minutes. And I'm pretty sure basically what I do is I just watch. I'll look every now and again and see if it's done leaching. You can see like oils and things like that just leaching off the surface or coming out of holes, things like that. And what we are left with is this. So a couple ways, if you're dealing with an ultrasonic cleaner, really the best practice is to put them in an oil bath after you introduce them to water and cleaning agents, things like that. But I just, don't have the space for an oil bath down here. And I don't really, my wife already doesn't like all the things I have to keep around the house and all the chemicals I keep in the vault. So we don't have an oil bath, but we will lubricate these back up once we inspect them. And this gives me a chance too, with a new gun, to really take a look at it, see if there's anything that looks like it might be out of whack. I rarely run into that with HK, but it's something worth doing and paying attention to. And that slide actually looks like it's DLC to me. And you'll see once things dry, once we get all of this water kind of out of the way, we're going to relube pretty quick. You don't want to leave them with no lubrication, especially when you get into the frames, the springs, things like that. Even if you detail strip and clean, it's unlikely that you're going to strip it of all the lubrication. Doing this will absolutely strip it of all the lubrication. But first things first, we want to get rid of all of that water, or as much as we can. Do it without freezing your parts. That'd be beneficial. But I'll give you guys kind of a good look. So you remember what it looked like when we started. That's where we are when we're finished. So no lubrication at all, no grease, no kind of flaking or metal material from a factory test fire or anything like that. Just a clean gun. So first things first, we'll start lubing. So normally handguns new from the factory, especially striker fire guns, do not require much lubrication. But since is this one that's not ready? Since I kind of cleaned everything out, I'm going to over lubricate. Dang it, both of these. Sorry guys. I got my stopper in there. I got to get out. But I'll over lubricate, dry off, and then just kind of let it be. Because what I want is to make sure I have some kind of lubrication on all the metal parts. So I'll way overdo it and then just kind of clean it off. And what I'm using today for lubrication is Gunfighter gun oil because it's petroleum distillate free. It's a pure synthetic, much like Slip 2000, things like that. And that's kind of what I have to use. It's kind of ironic where the thing I'm most passionate about in the world causes me issues. So as you can see, we're just being real aggressive with the oiling because we stripped it, and I definitely don't want to rust a new gun. And this is certainly easier and faster than a normal clean. And it just helps me stay motivated because cleaning guns, in my opinion, is not super fun. So this is kind of in lieu of like the oil bath kind of thing. Just kind of making sure all the surfaces are lubricated again. Quick and easy. Now this is messy, but purposeful. Another thing I like to kind of use with polymer handguns is like a petroleum, or not petroleum, a silicone-based lubricant. But finding like a silicone spray without petroleum distillates is a pain. There's a few, but you gotta look for them. You gotta pay attention. And I know not everyone has this problem. So we're gonna let that sit for about a second or two. And then we'll just start drying things off, spreading the material out. And again, like it's much like what you would get from the factory. If you leave too much on there, it's going to get gummy the first time you run it at the range. The other thing you want to be careful of too, especially if you're over oiling, is not to have too much going into like your striker channel. Because that's notorious for gumming up and will actually cause function issues with the gun. So that's something you want to watch out for. But if you go to like a gun shop and they offer like cleaning services, more than likely they're going to ultrasonic them just because it saves them a whole bunch of time. And that really gets the gun ready to go from a lubrication standpoint. And again, it gives you the opportunity to really look at it, really see all the surfaces, see if there's any tendency to wear from the factory test fire process. And it just gives you some information to pay attention to. I really do like these. These are well built, for real. Okay. So with that, I'll give them one more quick blowout, and then we'll reassemble. And then it'll be time to put the Optic on And then we'll check the back strap on this particular gun. And if the back strap is all good, we'll be ready to head to the range. All right. So I know not the most, entertaining visual video you've ever seen, but I don't really think people really cover this much about what happens when you get a new gun, and if you want to have the best start in life, what do you do? And not saying this is the exact right answer, but it's what I do. So with that, we'll take a look again, make sure we don't have anything that looks like water anywhere. And you already see how the lubricant's kind of just soaking in or has been wiped, so it's not really overly lubed. Come on, baby. Okay. There we go. Back together. Now we can kind of start getting our optic put on and get this one ready to go. So first I want to function check it. Obviously there's no ammo in it, but let's make sure. Yep, trigger's fine. Nothing got moved around. What I may end up doing again later is going ahead and lubing it again, making sure I'm getting down in that trigger mechanism. But whenever you're using water and like solvents, for lack of a better term, to degrease, check everything. At least pay really close attention to everything. Make sure nothing got damaged or is acting very strange or weird. All right, so there's that. So let's get this optic mounted. All right, so we have the optic. We can get rid of these now. Oops, there was one. We have the optic cover plate that we want to remove, and that's on a T8 Torx bit. And we've got that kind of set up. What I want to do really quick is put this in the box so I don't lose it, because that's pretty handy to have. You never know. And what I purchased as an optic for this was the Holosun 407K, which is direct milled. This gun is direct milled for that optic. I want to also make sure I don't have any excess lubricant in there. I might put just a drop, just to make sure that's not water. That's a nice milling job. Some little bosses. One drop. Because what we're gonna have to do is make sure we degrease the holes, but I also want to make sure I don't rust under my optic. I see that more than I should. All right, so we got that. Let's go ahead and check the fit. Bosses, sits on the bosses fine. And then, so that's what we'll have at the end of the day, which is quite nice. What I would normally do is I'd go through and I'd check the function of the optic and all of that stuff before I mount it. But for the sake of video, we're just going to kind of push through. Now, what I need to see, the Holosun itself comes with 3 screws, 3 sets of screws, and we got to figure out which one is the right one. And I'm guessing it's these, but we're going to find out here in a second. So we'll just kind of test those holes. No, not those. It's those, which are very long. But we'll see. We'll try it. So we're going to go ahead and get these prepped. So here's the screws we're going to attempt to use right here. And what I'm going to do, where is my alcohol? I'm going to soak these in alcohol while I'm getting ready. And that gets any lubricants off those. And I'm going to go ahead and try and clean the holes with some alcohol. And that's the biggest failure I see with optic mounting, is people don't degrease the holes. And that's it doesn't let the thread locker lock up well. Oops, get out of there. Easy squeezy, doesn't take much. Just want to try and clean it the best you can and give you the best start you can. Go ahead and get that out of there. Sitting on the bosses, lining up just fine. We will go ahead and get these out and ready. Man, those are some big screws. Much bigger than I anticipated. All right, where is my thread locker? Here's thread locker. Here we go. Put new thread locker on them, even if they had some from the factory put on them. I'd rather use my own because I don't like optics flying off. And let's see if this is going to do what we need it to do. Come on, baby. Slippery. Okay, where did my holosun tool go? Okay, so let me get a T10 driver. At least get that rolling. And then I might make another short video when this is done to show how I kind of start the zeroing process. All right, yeah, those will work. Those will work just fine. So the length is good. Got my trusty torque driver set at about 15 inch-pounds. The Optic says 13 inch-pounds. I like to run a little bit higher than that. Just in my experience, that has done well for me. Good. Good. So now that Optic is mounted. So this gun is about ready to go to the range. Now, what else I could do, especially with HKs, you can configure grip. So these have different back straps, things like that you could change out and play with. I'm going to probably run it just the way it came out of the box. And just kind of see how the trigger reach feels for me and those kind of things. But that's it for now, guys. That's basically what I do with every gun I get. Clean it, re-lube it, let it sit for a while, re-lube it again, and then go run it. And I've had pretty good success with that, with guns working well, or spotting things that may be an issue with the gun before I go put a bunch of rounds through it and fall in love with it in case, you know, she has to go back and get dealt with.